Have you ever thought about starting your own podcast? For my sister and I, it simply started as a thought and honestly felt a little overwhelming because we truly didn't know where to begin until we found Buzzsprout. Buzzsprout is the easiest and best way to launch a professional podcast. In fact, it's so good that they have already helped over 100,000 people launch their own. Buzzsprout does not only have an easy platform to use right at your fingertips, but it will also help you to launch your podcast on every major podcasting platform like Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and more, all with a few clicks of a button. In addition, you will gain access to analytics and frequently uploaded tutorials to help your podcast be the best it can be. So, join the thousands of people who have created their podcasts with Buzzsprout. And by clicking the link in our description, you can find out more. Buzzsprout, the easiest way to start a podcast. Hello and welcome to Sestra-Tainment. I am your host Lenora.
And I'm Dee.
And we are two sisters in real life here today talking to you about the top things that stood out to us this week. And so we are going to go ahead and jump right in for the first thing that stood out to us. Sis, what you got?
All right, here we go. I got the toe bro.
The toe
bro. Okay, so we had talked about Dr. Sandra Lee, the pimple popper, before in another episode. Mm-hmm. All right, so he said that like he uses her as inspiration for his YouTube channel. Oh. His YouTube channel has 1.19 million followers and subscribers. He is a podiatrist. He's a Canadian podiatrist. His name is Jonathan Tommins.
Okay.
He is like, he does the thing, like, nobody really likes feet. I don't know, like,
no.
Usually people like feet, it's a fetish.
Yeah, it's nothing cute or nice or sexy about feet.
But yeah, so he does fungus. He does calluses. He does skin horns, which skin horns is like, I can't even explain. It's like it just grows long like a horn.
Out of the toe or out of the foot?
Like, it's it can be out of the toe, the foot, like the crease in your, like the ones I saw were like the crease, like where your knuckle and everything meets. He does ingrown toenails, warts, corns, ram's horn toenail, which is where that grows over top of your toe and back into the skin.
Comes back into the skin?
God. Yes. Oh my God. He even does like diabetic foot warts. I'm going to try to tell you this. When me watching this, I couldn't I wanted to watch it, but then I didn't want to watch it at the same time.
It makes my stomach feel weird.
Oh, I just watched the episode, and there was this guy who dropped some metal disc on his toe, his big toe. I guess he just yanked his toe out, lost almost his whole toe.
Oh my God!
It was just hanging on from like the bottom meat, and when you look at the picture of it, you can barely you see like the bone, like the toenail, and then like no skin around like where the toenail was.
I don't know if we should have started with this one.
Definitely.
I feel so nauseous.
But it's no different than Dr. Pimple Popper.
No, I can handle pimples. I guess because it's the feet, it's just something different maybe. But you're reminding me of a show or something that I watched. My Feet Are Killing Me, I think is the name of the TV show that's like the Pimple Popper show, but it's two podiatrists. And they had this guy who his feet, I don't know if it was athlete's foot or what, but it had all scaled over itself so many times, and they had to figure out how they could potentially either shave or do something or file and whatever. But it was it was terrible. I mean, to the point that there were bugs and things on his feet.
No, okay, so I did show you one. Remember the one that I showed you where it was like an ant was like crawling all over?
I remember that one too. Yeah,
that was the toe bro.
That was the toe
bro.
Not the toe bro.
That's toe bro.
I don't know why that.
But that was the toe bro. So he does like the most disgusting things. Like I see him like cutting people's like ingrown toenails.
Yeah.
I did not realize that the ingrown toenail can go almost like halfway, like the length of your toe. Like, well, not the length, but like the width of your toe.
Oh, really?
So I'm pulling out one, and he was just he had like the little like clamp things on it, and he was just twisting, and then he had like done a one full twist, and then finally the rest of the toenail came out.
And it had ingrown all the way down and around.
Yeah.
Underneath the toe almost, basically.
Yeah, oh my goodness. I'm like, just like, and then like when they're doing this, it's disgusting. I'm about to get really graphic, but you see pus and blood come out of it. But I mean, you gotta think about the pressure that the people are having released from that toe.
That's true. I mean, it's definitely a service for sure.
It's a service,
but it's unfortunate that people wait so long to do that type of thing. Same thing with Dr. Lee, the pimple popper. You know, people just wait. And they're like, "Oh, I've had it for 3 years. I've had it for 5 years. I've had it for 20 years." You know, and it's like if people just realize when something's happening to just get it done, then they would save themselves.
They're just like, "Oh man, I've lived with it this long." Yeah,
I just don't get it.
Hey, you know, sometimes it bees like that, you know. But I mean, I really do like watching him on YouTube. It is, I don't know, it's just something about it. It's like him. He's like sitting there. He's like talking to people and everything. And the crazy thing is like when he's cutting the people's toenails, they're so thick that he has to like put his finger over top of it, cut it, and then move his finger and then like pull that piece away because it's like so much fungus in it. Oh my goodness, it's so.
He can't touch anybody's foot probably without gloves, right?
I don't see him doing that, but I haven't really paid attention because
you see him with gloves, right?
I mean, yeah, but I'm not really paying attention because I'm more looking at the toe and not like his hands being on the foot or anything like that.
Yeah. I'm just thinking when you talk about fungus and things like that.
Oh yeah, I mean, like if he's working on the foot, yeah, he definitely has like his gloves on. But I mean, I'm pretty sure there's times where he's like looking at somebody's foot, just like doing like an analysis or whatever, just doing like a quick look over before he can even do anything. I'm pretty sure he probably doesn't have gloves on then.
Now, does he mainly do just things in his office setting? You know, like Dr. Lee, they mainly just show her do things like in a room.
Yeah.
You know?
He's in his office.
Okay, because I think that other show that I was thinking of, I think they actually do like surgeries too. Like they'll go and put a person under and do certain things as well as doing things in in our office. Yeah.
Well, the one where the guy had like had that thing drop on his toe. He said that he drove himself to the emergency room once because he was by himself. Then he said when he got to the emergency room, the doctor's looking at it and he's just like. So I can see what they did here, like from the picture, no skin. Like he has no skin on top of his toe. All the skin's on the bottom. They just took that skin and kind of like folded it over and wrapped it up. And they took his toenail and like re-edited it and like sewed it back on. So then, you know, the toe bro was like, so here's what happened. A lot of people in the ER just think that, hey, if I go ahead and re-sew on this toenail, that's just going to grow back from where it was. No, that's not what happens.
I wouldn't even think that.
Because of this, so what they're thinking is like how your skin is. Like if you cut yourself and then you get stitches.
Or like how they reattach a fingertip.
Yeah, exactly. It re-stitches. No, it's like he cuts, you see him cut like the little sutures from where it was going into the toe and into the toenail and pulls it out. And then you just see him like kind of like flick the toenail. It just falls off.
Because it wasn't going to be stable enough anyway.
Absolutely.
So is that person ever going to get a toenail back?
I think he said that it's going to have to be a while because like the toenails like bed is completely gone. So like he has to have the toe healed because of the emergency room doctor told him that it could turn black and fall off on its own.
Oh my gosh. Even after they fixed it.
Because like it was so much damage. So the toe bro was like, maybe, you know, you could have probably just lost it and it would have been, you know, not going through as much stuff as you're going through. Kind of like when I sprained my ankle and they were just like, oh yeah, probably should have broke it instead of spraining it.
That would have been better.
Yeah.
Oh, great. So
amazing.
You look him up as the toe bro.
Yeah, just look up toe bro, and then you know it's so funny. His little cartoon picture that they have for like his little avatar. His head kind of looks like a toe. I'm not gonna lie, like
they made him look.
It looks like a big toe.
A big toe. Bro.
But he is a lighter skin, like a lighter skinned man with a bald head. Okay. But the way that they have him standing there, he's standing there like he's like Mr. Clean, like he's like smiling. but then his head is kind of shaped like a toe. I can't explain it.
Oh my gosh! So do we know his real name?
Yeah, his name is like I said, Jonathan Timmons.
Oh, Jonathan Timmons.
Yeah, he's
so
from Canada.
Jonathan
He's a podiatrist in Canada.
In Canada. So if anybody has any foot fungus, ingrown toenail issues, whatever the case may be. Ram's horns. They need to go to
diabetic
Canada.
foot wounds. I mean, like the stuff. I mean, it's like it's like you can't stop. It's a rabbit hole of just you being like, oh man, look at this picture. Okay, let me click on this and see what this is like. Oh my god,
yeah.
But yeah, everybody look into that. Toe Bro is on YouTube. Definitely check it out if you want to be repulsed, but yet intrigued.
Intrigued. Yeah. Oh my goodness. All right. Well, that is going to be a hard act to follow. However, I am going to start off with talking about American Horror Story.
Ooh.
And I am going to start, and I don't want to just talk about American Horror Stories in general, because I will probably want to talk about, you can do a deep dive into a number of them. And my favorite is Coven. So far,
absolutely,
I feel like Coven has been my favorite. It was just really good. I think season 3, so it was amazing. I have watched them all, even the ones that aren't that great. Roanoke, but yeah. So for me personally, I am usually repulsed but intrigued by the show, because I, number one, hate anything horror. Okay. Like, I don't watch horror movies.
Is it horror or the suspense? What is it?
No, I love suspense. Okay. So if it's something that's suspenseful,
but I mean, like the suspense of like making you jump, like that.
No,
build up. Do you like the build up? You don't want to be jumped out at and like scream or?
No, it is the fact that I don't typically like to put myself in a situation with a movie or TV show where my energy after that show is going to be worse than it was before said show.
That's no fun. That's what entertainment's all about.
That's what some people's form of entertainment is all about. Not mine personally. So I won't watch anything typically that is, I already know from the beginning it's going to be a crime movie. Okay. Like The Fault in Our Stars or whatever that movie was,
when the girl dies or whatever.
I don't even know. But I just could tell it was something about people who were going to be dying. Yeah. Or if it's about a dog that's going to die. We know that's going to happen. Yeah. Like Marley and Me, heard about it, didn't want to see it. So anything like that, Precious, something just going to be.
Oh yeah, I regretted watching Precious.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
So anything like that, like even the newer TV show Made, right?
See, Made was it was hard for me to fully watch it. I was watching it and I was like, I don't want to watch this anymore. And then I was like, okay, I got to watch it again.
Yeah, you got to see how she could potentially hopefully make it to the other side of her drama and situation. So for people who like that kind of thing, it's great. For me, I started to watch Made and I was like, oh my God, can this girl get a break? Like everything's going the wrong way for her, and whatever the case may be. And maybe that is something that we could talk about, even though I may not make it through the entire series. But you don't like stuff like that. I don't like stuff like that because I feel like, okay, I'm coming to it in a good spot, in a good place. Like I'm sitting down to entertain myself. Okay. And do I want to subject myself to chainsaws or
but this is coming from the person who is in love with 90 Day Fiance, Love in Paradise, whatever the thing is, and you're watching these people's lives crumble in front of you and then making the worst decisions you're yelling at them, you idiot, what were you thinking?
Don't use my words against me from the last podcast of how I love the new Love in Paradise series. But so that to me it's like, if you're just gonna make ridiculous decisions and go on a vacation in Jamaica and have unprotected sex and have a child with
that's entertainment. You're saying that's entertainment?
Well, I'm just saying that is not something that is going to make my energy feel differently afterwards. It is not impacting me or my life in any way whatsoever. So what do I care other than to see other people in their drama? However, in regards to these types of shows and horror shows and things of that nature, it's just like, I don't know. I just don't want that kind of suspense. I don't want that kind of negative energy. And, a lot of things are about energy. When I was in Egypt, I know one of the things that they had said is that you can't hand something to somebody. because the energy and the dollar bill that you are handing to someone transmits to that person. So whenever you paid for something, you had to put it on the table and you slid it across, and then you lifted your hand, and then they would put their hand on it and pull it to them, and sometimes they would flick at it or, you know, shake it or do something like that because you don't want the bad, you know.
Americans in gas stations hate that.
Oh, really?
What? How many times have you seen, like, have you not seen, like, people go to gas stations and there might be somebody from another country who's just like, I'm going to take the money and put it down the counter and slide it to you?
Yeah.
And the people are just like, I handed you the money. You could hand me the money back. Don't put it down on the counter. It's
I've
like,
never experienced
but they don't,
that.
Oh, I've seen it multiple times.
No. So, but that's the kind of thing. Like, I don't want to do anything that's going to put a negative and evil.
I got you.
A bad energy around me, which is why I don't even am around a lot of people with bad energy either. So there's that. But anyway, I have gone all around my nose to get to my elbow, as one of my friends would say. So for this particular show, what I really liked, it's the one about vampires and aliens. So this is, I don't know what the name of this one.
I don't know if I finished this one.
I don't know. But I'll just talk about it in a high level. I don't want to spoil anything for anyone who hasn't seen it. But for this particular one, what I would say is that what stood out to me was that this was the first time that I had recognized that Ryan Murphy and his team had done a show where the first 6 episodes was one part of a series, which was the vampires. Yeah. And then this next 4 episodes were just about the aliens. And I was waiting to see how they all might wrap up at the end, and it did not. So if anybody is thinking that's going to happen, maybe I spoiled that, but that is not something that actually
if you look at the art for it, it
shows
it looks the
like
vampire and the alien, like their tongues are like they're making out
with each other, right?
So that's why you would think that, but I guess it's the link of, I don't know, I guess the link of having just 2 separate shows in one season.
And can I just say, that was amazing. Just think through that.
That should have been American Horror Stories.
Possibly, but we'll talk about that one later. So in regards to this particular show, what happened to me, which was kind of neat, is that, so for the vampire section of the show, it was really about a town in like Massachusetts, kind of like your Midnight Mass show or something like that. Yeah. But that it was this guy who wants to be a writer, and they heard, if you go to this particular town, a lot of people who wrote their bestsellers stayed in this town, did all their work, and then got these wonderful bestsellers. Some of them get sold to movies, things of that nature. So he decides to move to that town, and in the process of doing so, he actually runs into some interesting characters singing karaoke who proceed to, they're both actually wonderful screenwriters, book writers, and he's like, I know who y'all are. Y'all come here. I didn't know that, but y'all are the ones who get this great work done. And so in the process of that, what happens is he realizes that these folks actually have a pill that they take. And in the process of taking that pill, it's basically, if you are the masterpiece worker that you think you are, the pill will give you the best script, the best information for you to put into your book. There is no way you won't
have you into the
amazing
You're
sellers.
The Albert Einstein of
whatever your skill is and your gift. So therefore, somebody was a screenwriter. So when he took the pill, the wonderful thing that happens is that you become the best screenwriter possible. You're a book writer, so you become the best in regards to your genre, whatever the case may be. If you're a musician, you become the best, all of those things. If, however, you are not as good as you think that you may be, you are not the Einstein of your craft, you turn into a vampire. And you just roam the streets of the town and go around, eating
the outfits are amazing.
People. It's very 80s retro, David Bowie, big shoulders,
big shoulder pointing pads.
Yeah, it's crazy. And so you kind of just lose all sense of knowledge and understanding and just go around like sucking people's bloods and animals' blood or whatever.
Yeah, it's kind of like a zombie and vampire meet. How they walk around and they're like zombies.
Yeah, but then they'll like run really fast.
Yeah. But like the zombies.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's kind of weird like that.
So that's kind of just in a high level. The first half of the season is about, okay, Does this guy take the pill? Does he make this choice for himself? Who else possibly takes this pill? Macaulay Culkin is in the first half, and can I say he does amazing, fantastic job. Right. I hadn't seen him act in forever, so knowing all of the issues and things that he had going on in his life, to just see him doing something that was just so great with his skills, I was just like, oh, I think I want to see him in more things. So that was kind of really good. Of course, Sarah Paulson, she's in almost all of the American Horror Stories.
She's amazing. I feel like she's in all of them. I feel like she's just in everything Ryan Murphy. It's kind of like how Rob Schneider is in everything that's Adam Sandler. Like, it's like, oh, this is my movie, you're in it. Doesn't matter. I wrote a part for you.
Right, or Scorsese with DiCaprio or somebody, you know. So I just feel like it was a great first half, and you're like, oh, wow, oh, the intricate details and what they actually do and all of that, and are you as good as you think you are? And would you take the pill to take that chance, you know, that kind of thing. And then what the extremes are that people would go to in order to be a vampire and continue to, and by the way, you turn into a vampire either way. Maybe I should say that. If you need to suck blood regardless. So one way
we were giving out no spoilers in this. I feel like we're giving out like the whole show right now.
I'm not, because you don't know how it all goes. But anyway, so it's like if you're a vampire either way, you don't even know at this point, the way I've described it, if the man takes the pill. We don't know. We're just saying that two people who sung karaoke took the pill.
Yeah, that's true.
And this is what happened. So the two people who sung karaoke have to figure out how to continue to survive because they turn into vampires who are amazing at their craft, or you become into a zombie vampire who doesn't even have a craft. You know, those are kind of your two options. So anyway, it goes into the whole storyline of that. Then the second side of it is the aliens piece. So that kind of has two different layers to that, which is very strange. So one layer to that is the fact that you have Dwight Eisenhower and his wife, and you know it's back in the I don't even know like 50s, I think it's 50s, where it's black and white. So
Area 51 or whatever.
Thanks.
I'm sorry.
Where everything in the show is in black and white. And so it's about aliens who just come down and, you know, they'll blow up people's heads or do whatever they need to do. And so it's just really an interesting take on the things that happened back then. Like, oh, how did we get microwave technology? How did we know how to be able to do certain things that we can do from a technology perspective? And it kind of does show that he had a treaty with the aliens to create Area 51 so that they could do all their experiments and whatever. And it basically makes it look like Eisenhower had an agreement with the aliens in regards to some different things that could potentially happen.
I always mix up Area 51 and Studio 54.
Yeah, they're two totally different.
I know, but I'm saying the numbers, the 50 numbers, I always be like, is it Area 54? No, it's Area 51.
Yeah. Okay. And then the second half of the show is all in color, and that's following 4 friends who are all on a camping trip. And oh, by the way, what happens to them in present time, so not back in the 50s, they actually get abducted. And what happens to their bodies, and it's men and women who get abducted, what goes on there, and how the aliens of today interacted with or evolved, I guess, from the aliens of the 1950s. Yeah. And I will say that the ending of the show left me where I was like, is this the end, or is this like, is there more that's going to happen? But it is the end. But I still really thoroughly enjoyed it, as opposed to some of the other Ryan Murphy series. So I'll just say that, long story short, that this is probably my second favorite season of American Horror Story. Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
I really enjoyed it because it was just so, just how things were interwoven. Well, I'll put it this way. It's between this and Murder House, because Murder House I liked as the first season of American Horror Story. So this one, it's right up there in my top 3. I'll put it that way. But Coven's still going to be number 1. But when I think of things like, you know, some of the other 1984 or, you know, some of the other ones, like I said, Roanoke, absolutely, probably the worst. Freak Show was right there, almost with it. In my opinion, some people might disagree. But yeah, all of those, I would say this is probably going to be my top 3.
Now, I'll tell you that in American Horror Stories, when how they did it, like a block where it was just about the murder house.
Yes.
Like in the first 2 or 3 episodes.
And I do have that potentially on my list to talk about later.
Okay. But like in that, I feel like that was definitely a good. Like I feel like that could have been a season. Instead of it being on American Horror Stories, it could have been American Horror Story, the series.
I do agree. Yeah, it was very quick snapshot, which it could have been a much longer.
It could have definitely been longer.
So that is the one that I wanted to talk about.
American Horror Story. What was the name of it?
You know, the funny thing, every time I looked it up, I could not find the actual name of this.
Is it just like Vampires and Aliens?
I just put Vampires and Aliens because I couldn't figure it out. It just said American Horror Story, and it's interesting. This year it did come out with American Horror Stories, so you had 2 different options to look at. So, but we'll talk about that one later. So, what do you have for your next one?
All right, so I got Chaka-Khan and Stephanie Mills on Verzuz. Shout out to Charlemagne the God for calling her Ciroc-A-Khan because of the fact that she was a little inebriated. She celebrated a little too hard before going out to sing her songs with Stephanie Mills.
I don't get why an artist would get basically wasted before going on stage and not think people can't tell.
Well, see, all right, so here I'm going to say this. I have heard on other podcasts that I listen to about the artists who are coming to do, the Verzuz. And they were like, as soon as we get there, it's like a big spread. They have nothing but like food. They got like flowers for us because they always talk about like you giving somebody their flowers while they're living. It was like they have all that stuff, and then we start drinking. So now we're all just having fun. We're having it's like a party, and the next thing it's like, all right, you're ready to go. It's like, oh snap, wait, I just took like 6 shots back to back. Like I didn't even realize. So apparently this is like a thing where they're just like, hey, we're celebrating, we're having fun. Yeah, but they could start having fun at like 3:00 in the afternoon.
Don't show up at 3:00 in the afternoon.
Yeah, but I mean, I guess that's just part of like the Verzuz thing. It's just like,
it's hosted
like,
by Ciroc, right?
Yeah. So it's like I feel like that's part of the thing. It's just like if you're not a drinker and then you're trying to drink with like all the rest of the crew, you're gonna get towed up. Now you have to go outside and do your job.
Yeah.
So I feel like that's what ended up happening. But just to recap on that, it was Stephanie Mills and Chaka-Khan. It was a 90-minute show, which I feel like if it was stretched out, now that might have been because, Chaka-Khan was a little inebriated.
I feel like some of them are longer than 90 minutes.
Oh, no, I mean, like, I think it was like 9. I think it was
2 hours, I thought.
No, so that's what I was saying. Like, the first part, it was like 49 minutes before they just had DJs playing music and setting up.
Yeah,
before they even like stepped on the stage. So I feel like this is the longest. Usually it's like 20, 30 minutes, but it was close to an hour.
Yeah, like, sometimes I've seen that happen almost an hour before. I can't remember who it was.
But was that when they were doing it online?
Yes.
Okay, so like, I mean, like
not in front of a live crowd.
Yeah, not in front of a live crowd, and that's when they were doing it like on like some social media or something like that, not them doing it on anything else. So just talking about that, it was really awesome to see them two together. Stephanie Mills killed it. Stephanie Mills definitely, like you had said, she used this to open up doors for like she was sweating like a Hebrew slave. I am not lying. She was out there. She was just dancing and doing like all. I mean, like she was really, really like giving her all to do.
She was dancing, she was going.
She was entertaining. She was entertaining. She wasn't just out there, singing. Still. Yeah. Chaka-Khan tried to. Granted, she did have like 6-inch heels on, and she is 68 years old, so she might not be able to get around like she used to. On top of that, you drunk a bunch of Ciroc, apparently pomegranate, before you came in, because that's what they were sponsored, Ciroc pomegranate. But, so when you see her, she's in there, she's up there, she's that's like when she was singing, she was singing.
Oh yeah, her voice has not changed. It's amazing.
She was toe up.
All of her
like the high pitch and like yelling. And so, oh my god,
it's perfect, and she never missed a note.
Yeah, oh no, she definitely missed.
No, I meant in regards to
the
notes.
belting.
Yeah, whenever she did scatter,
like the
ad-libbing, she never missed anything. Never missed. She might have missed some words to her songs.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, gosh, I wish I could play the clip of of her singing one of the songs. But anyway, I will say what I do love about it is that both of them brought their children on stage. Mm-hmm. So Stephanie Mills brought her son Farad out. He has Down syndrome. So when she was singing "Never Knew Love Like This Before," he comes out, and then there she's like, dance with me, and she's dancing, and then she gives him the microphone, and he like sings something. And then, she gives him a hug and a kiss, and then he goes right back. Then Ciroc-A-Khan, it seems like, what was it? Sweet Thing?
Yeah.
It seems like maybe Ciroc-A-Khan was just over that song, was just like, hey, come here, come sing that song. But then Ciroc-A-Khan did do the ad-libs for that.
Yeah.
But yeah, she did bring her daughter Indira out, which that is a really pretty name. I do like that. And then when you see her daughter, you're just like, oh yeah, that's Ciroc-A-Khan. Like, she has a low-cut shirt, like very well endowed, like still like belts, like Ciroc-A-Khan does. But it was great. They hit like all of their greatest. Stephanie Mills talks about how she was 17 years old when she did The Wiz.
Yeah.
She sung Ease on Down the Road a cappella because they had some like sound issues. And then Chaka-Khan talks about how she ran away from home at like 16. So like they, apparently they're friends. Like they are probably the two female artists that probably talk the most that are not in the limelight like other older female artists are. But I think it was a good thing. What do you think about it? You think it was good?
I thought that it was entertaining. I think that it was entertaining from Stephanie Mills' perspective, like you said, I said. As I was watching it, I said, oh, Stephanie Mills is probably like, look, I have a podcast myself. Maybe people don't even know about it. There's a lot of people here that probably don't know who I am. I may not be relevant to them. Let me put on a show. I am going to kick and stretch and drop it low.
Yeah, she's twerking and everything.
And move it around and shimmy and do all of that. And she did an amazing job. Her voice sounds absolutely amazing as well. And she helped Chaka sing some songs even.
It was basically Stephanie Mills versus Stephanie Mills, because every time the Chaka started singing, Stephanie Mills had to like come and sing with her. Yeah. Yes, because like Chaka either didn't remember the words or was slurring over the words, and then I noticed that they kept cutting down Chaka-Khan's songs.
At the beginning, they cut down all the songs. All the songs were only a few verses, or one or two verses.
Oh no, it was one song of Chaka-Khan's that like she did maybe 6 words and then belted out, and then Stephanie Mills like put her hand up like she was a choir director and was like, "Yeah, turn that off."
I didn't see that one.
Oh yeah, because Mom was like, "Oh, they cut the music off," and I was just like, "Oh no, you saw Stephanie Mills' hand, that Aunt Marilyn hand come out."
and scene.
Yeah.
So yeah,
but I would say that the more it went on, Chaka-Khan did sober up. Mm-hmm.
She was drinking water.
She was drinking water, and then she changed her shoes. And when she changed her shoes, she changed to like they like some Doc Marten type boots or something like that.
Mm-hmm. But that gave her a little bit more stability.
Yes, yeah.
Even though she was still very wobbly to start.
Yeah. But then also, like you said, we don't know what else is going on with her. We don't know if she has bad legs, bad knees, and then her trying to stand on those while being tipsy. That's not going to be a good thing. Yeah. She's a weeble wobble then. Yeah.
Right. And I guess my thought, like originally, and I think I said it while you and I and Mom were watching, I was like, this is painful to watch. Like, it was painful for me. Like, I don't find any joy in the uncomfortableness of situations and the awkwardness of things like that, where you literally see her barely keeping her eyes open, slurring her words, wobbling. And when I say wobbling, like, looks like knees might buckle at any moment and she's going to pass out.
Yeah.
A couple of times it looked like she was going to pass out or like just fall asleep.
Yeah.
So, it was like, this is so uncomfortable, and I feel bad for her because I'm like, this is your opportunity to get out here to be in front of people. She even asked the question, how many of y'all were born in the 70s, the 80s, the 90s? And it could be some people who were born in the 90s who were like, oh yeah, I'm here. They were a loud group that said they were from the 90s. And they very well could be like, the alcoholic? Like, like, because people might not know. And with her having had previous drug problems and things like that, I was like, is she like relapsing? I didn't know if alcohol was an issue for her or not, but I was just kind of concerned for her. Like,
I was looking at it at an entertainment position either way. So I looked at that just like you looked at the Love in Paradise.
Okay, yeah, train wreck.
They're like you see these people's lives crumbling in front of them from the decisions that they make. I watched Chaka-Khan's life, her decision that she made, make it like crumble in front of her. I was entertained.
Right there on the stage.
I was entertained. I thought it was kind of funny. Like they said, the drunk auntie at the Christmas party or Thanksgiving.
The cookout. Right, exactly.
But definitely check out the Verzuz, Chaka-Khan, Stephanie Mills. I think it was very entertaining. Besides the whole, Chaka-Khan being tipsy, and Stephanie Mills having to help her and stuff like that, just the songs, like the how they were singing them, how they still sound the way they sounded in 1971. Good Lord,
amazing. And like they said, these are folks who are here who want to listen to good music.
Exactly.
Like the people who bought tickets to be there, or I don't know if it was tickets or free or what, but the people who were there, they were like, they're here to listen to two women sing great music.
Yeah, exactly.
And I totally agree. I mean, and it reminded me too how many of Shaka's songs I knew, how many of Stephanie's songs
you
I
knew every song.
I knew almost every word.
Mom was looking like, do you know the words to all the songs? And you were just like, yeah, I don't know.
Like,
I didn't know.
But yeah, I couldn't.
And then what was the jazz song that Chaka-Khan song?
Night in Tunisia.
Yeah. Me and Mom were just both like, what is that? Like, we didn't even know.
Night in Tunisia. Yeah. So anyway, but yeah, I am a Rolodex of songs, and maybe that'll be a topic one day. If just
how your memory works,
and let me see if I know what the words.
That would be great. We need to do that when we have callers, like call in,
or something, or have a guest.
No, have a guest, and just be like, all right, how they have on Jimmy Fallon where he has like the button, it's like the wheel of whatever, wheel of impressions. We just need to do like a wheel of songs where you just push a button and a song comes up, and then you have to say what the words are.
Yep, exactly. And it'll be Luther or Chaka or Stephanie or Patty or Mariah.
Oh, and also about the Verzuz, I didn't know, and that I think you didn't know either, that Prince wrote a couple of songs for them.
Yeah, Feel For You, I think was
Feel For You, yeah. That's the one that I think she's stumbling on. And then Stephanie Mills was like, oh, okay. That's enough of that.
Yeah.
And then I can't remember what the Stephanie Mills song was.
I don't remember. Yeah, I don't remember.
Yeah, I can't remember what that was because she had said it and then we were listening to it
but it's a bunch of people have sung it. Prince sung it.
She sung Alicia Keys too. Why don't you call me anymore?
How come
there you go.
Don't call me.
Yeah. So then you just tend to find out stuff, and then apparently I don't know, maybe Chaka-Khan thought that her songs were going to be about just her, because they would be like, okay, we're going to, then she'd be like, I don't know what song I'm going to sing next, and then they play a song, she'd be like, oh, that's a Rufus song.
Yeah,
exactly. Like, I don't want to sing that. I have my own
songs.
Chaka-Khan.
That's Rufus.
That's Rufus, yeah. But yeah, definitely check it out. Verzuz, Stephanie Mills, Chaka-Khan. I'm pretty sure there's going to be a lot more Verzuz. That is one thing that the pandemic did actually make a plus when it came to music.
Yes, definitely.
The pandemic actually helped with that. And and D-Nice,
D-Nice, and his pandemic parties and stuff. Or what was it? The lockdown. I can't remember what
lockdown, throwdown, or something.
Yeah, I can't remember. But yeah, so his parties were always nice. So.
All right, so what you got next, sis?
I actually have an interesting show, LaBrea. And it's interesting for me because I am kind of angrily watching it. So, you know how you start a show and you're just like, the acting isn't amazing. The show profile, the profiles of these characters aren't that awesome. Everything isn't quite falling into place with the script, but I'm not turning away. So it's a very interesting, frustrating show for me to watch. I started off, honestly, watching Manifest like that, and I think a lot of people would disagree with me on that show.
I fell off on Manifest.
Okay. Because it was a huge success once it moved over to Netflix. But for me, Manifest, some of the actors were amazing, and I really enjoyed the storyline there, at least. But then it's a few of the actors I was like, ooh, you really need to work on your acting chops, in my opinion. However, for this show, I don't think it's even the actors as much, because a few of them are people that you may have seen in other things. But I don't know if it's the acting or just the words, but that they've written, like the script. But you have Natalie Zia. She actually plays a mother on here, and she's been on a lot of things like, I don't know, The Detour, Justified, Dirty Sexy Money, things of that nature. So she's been on there, and I really liked her on other things. John Cena, not John Cena, John S-E-D-A, John Cena, or Seda maybe, but he was in Selena as her boyfriend, and Chicago Justice and Chicago PD and those Chicago shows. So he's been on a lot of those. You even have Nicholas Gonzalez, and he actually is somebody that I had seen. He was in the movie Anaconda that I didn't remember, but he's been on SWAT. I feel like one of the last things I had seen him on was The Good Doctor. And so anyway, all of these people who've been actors in a lot of different areas have come together on this particular show, so that's why I think it's more the script than anything. But it's all about LaBrea, California, and a day in which, they always talk about that fault line in California and different things that could potentially happen. Mm-hmm. And so there is a huge hole that just kind of opens up, like downtown off the 105 or something, I don't know. But anyway, somewhere.
Like a sinkhole?
Like a huge sinkhole, right. And buildings go into it, and cars go into it, and like all these things just go into the sinkhole. And there's a mother, like with her kids, and all of a sudden they start running to try to get away from the sinkhole, and the mother and son fall into the sinkhole, but the daughter doesn't. So the daughter now is on the top, not in the sinkhole. The mother and son are, and then the daughter's father also isn't in the sinkhole, and the father always had visions. So the daughter had been in a car accident. She's actually lost a leg, so they show her, and I honestly don't know if in real life she's lost a leg or not. Yes, I'm looking at a picture of her on YouTube right now, or on Google right now, and she has. So she is really good in regards to her acting skills. I've liked her. The father, I've even liked his acting, and usually most of the lines that they give him. But he has visions, and he's had these visions for a number of years since he has had an accident. And so what ends up happening as these people are falling into the hole, and I guess I'll say he's kind of estranged from his wife and the kids a little bit, just because of the fact that his visions have made it where they just think maybe he needs mental help, those kind of things. Because he feels like they're very realistic, and they're all like, maybe not so much. And so what you come to find out, and this isn't a spoiler, Dee, because of the fact that they show this in the commercials, that really what happens is that when people fall through the hole, when they wake up. And when they wake up, they're on the upside down, as it would be from Stranger Things.
What do you mean they wake up?
They are on the ground, and they wake up. Like, I fell through this hole, and in falling through this hole, I go through a space-time continuum to the point that I'm in the upside down.
I actually want to watch the show now.
There you go. Okay. Just be ready for the words that they have on the script. So anyway, so they're in the upside down, basically, as Stranger Things would say, and then they wake up, and basically they are in prehistoric times.
Okay, maybe I won't watch this show.
So you don't really, you kind of know, but again, they show like a saber-toothed tiger kind of chasing after people and stuff like that. So basically what happens is they are still in LaBrea, California, but it's LaBrea, California of like 10,000 years ago. And so basically the whole show is about how do these folks who land there, like what's their story. There's a few twists and turns, and there's a car that has a bunch of drugs in it. Well, who had a car with a bunch of drugs in it that fell through this hole, and who are they, and are they dangerous? Somebody had a gun, are they dangerous? Somebody's saying they're a cop, are they really? Somebody is a doctor, so they can help people who are injured. So it's all these different characters and things that are kind of going on there. But then also, you come to find out that the father in his visions, he was seeing the prehistoric time all along before this whole even
so he wasn't like schizophrenic or anything.
Crazy. He was seeing visions. So he went to somebody and said, "Hey, I see a vision of my wife and son in this other dimension."
This
so
journey to the center of the earth type place.
Well, he just could see them in regards to them being at the bottom of something, and they're looking up, and they can see a hole in the sky of where they fell through, basically. Okay. So that's kind of what it is. So his journey now is to try to get to his children. So now he's told the daughter, "Oh, I don't think that they're dead. I think that they're down there." And she's like, "Yeah, Dad, you're crazy." But then there's all of these, engineers and people who are with the military and the government who are like, down there. Well, this isn't the first sinkhole we've ever had in history. And, we actually have some people that got sucked up in there a while ago, and maybe they're still alive, and they'll run into the people who just recently got sucked up. So it's a lot of interesting twists and turns to it. So anyway, long story short, because we are at about 15 minutes till close. So therefore, I really feel like I am kind of, like I said, angrily watching it. The storyline itself is kind of interesting, and I'm like, okay, the prehistoric stuff I could do without. I think that there was enough with just the drugs in the car and who owns a gun and these kind of different storylines of things, and how do we get them out of the hole and whatever. Then you need, saber-toothed tigers and, things of that nature, and pterodactyls flying through the air. But
how many seasons do you see this?
No, it just started.
I know, but how many do you feel like it's going to be picked up for next year?
Oh, probably not. No. But I'm in for
I can't
a ride
see
of
that.
this
I
season.
can't see that being picked
I think
up.
it's just going to depend on how many people watch it, and it's on NBC.
I was about to say, is it on CBS? Because it will be on there forever.
I know, everything on CBS is on there forever. It doesn't matter how good or bad it is. So, so I think that it might be a one and done season, but I don't know. It's hard to say. So anyway, that's it. LaBrea on NBC is my next to last one that I want to talk about.
So my last one is a show called F is for Family.
F is for Family.
Come to find out, this is the first cartoon or animated series that Netflix ever did.
Oh, created themselves?
Yeah, like they like that. Well, I'm not gonna say create themselves, but I mean like they were just like, hey, we're gonna pick this. We're gonna pick up your idea and we're gonna use it. And, we're going to go ahead and do it instead of it being, anime that they're picking up from some other, whatever. All right, so it is a comedian and actor, Bill Burr. This is the story of him and, I guess, some of his other co-writers and directors and producers and everything. The story of their life in their childhood back in, starting in 1973. Okay. And basically, it just talks about how different the time was in the 70s compared to how time is now. So, for example, racism back then, it was how it was people are getting paid differently depending on race. Mm-hmm. Different education, different stuff that other people saw and was just but I mean that's how it's always been. This I don't see anything that's different, that's wrong with that. Where now we're just hey, everybody, you gotta be woke. You gotta realize that this is actually an issue.
This isn't right.
Yeah, so it is just been them just just him talking about how he grew up, how and Bill Burr plays the voice of the father, which it is funny because I could definitely see how the 70s, how people grew up. One of the seasons, it's talking about the father and son and how they don't get along.
Okay.
They don't get along because his father, and him didn't get along because of how he was raised. It was just how the
perpetual,
how they were being raised. And then what happens now? The guy who Bill Burr is playing, he's not getting along with his oldest son. So then,
generational
it's so funny because there's one episode where the son, who's 15, he's talking to his mother. He's just like, Mom, you can't die on us. You're just going to leave us here with Dad. We'll just be screwed. And she's just like, honey, just understand that. She was like, I'm just in my feelings right now. I see your grandfather in this casket. And automatically I'm thinking of how it would be if your father wasn't here. He's like, wait, you love Dad? Like, because all they know is, like, their father just being, like, this big asshole to everyone. His wife, his kids, neighbors, like, the priest. Like, everybody. So, I mean, I think that it's really good. It's definitely a show for the older generation where they can see it and just be like, oh, yeah, I remember that. Like, the little boy riding on a bicycle, like, throwing the newspapers, like, being able to go to a payphone, like going to when your parents would just be like, it's daytime, get out of the house and don't come back till it's dark. Gotcha. Like, I don't want to see you today. I just need a break from you today. You're a child. Children are supposed to play outside and not be inside with their parents. Opposed to now, it's just like, you're just staying inside. You're just doing this. But also, I mean, I think it's like, it's definitely a funny cartoon that could also be like a regular show. It's like kind of like let's see, Married with Children-ish.
Oh, gotcha. Okay, the Bundys.
Yeah, it's kind of like the Bundys. But definitely check on that. It is called F is for Family. Season 5 just came out. Yes.
I never even heard of it before.
Oh, yeah. Season 5 just came out.
What is it on?
It's on Netflix. Yeah, season 5 just came out, and it is actually doing good. I mean, and like each season talks about different things, and it doesn't go to, it isn't like an order to where it's like one episode leads into another. It's not something like The Simpsons where something just happens, and then the next episode is something else happening. This is like a actual TV show, which you see somebody's like, how you can see somebody's life building up to something.
Got it. Okay. No, that sounds great. Something that people might want to check out.
Yeah. All right, so what is your numero uno?
My numero uno.
Your last one.
It is The Real World Homecoming. New York. So it is on Paramount Plus. It used to be CBS All Access. And so basically I used to love The Real World when I was younger.
I don't remember this.
I feel like I watched New York, but my favorite season was the one that was The Real World San Francisco that had Pedro and Puck in it.
Yeah.
And Pedro, I mean, he was just so sweet and so nice, and Puck was just such a jerk. It would like put his fingers in like his filthy, dirty fingers in like the peanut butter jar and just like eat out the peanut butter.
Would he eat just like his own scabs and everything?
Yeah,
like
he's
that?
just a disgusting person to live with in a house when you have 7 other people.
But was that not like the most memorable and like the best season?
I loved this season with Pedro because you just kind of fell in love with Pedro, and you realize how he was dealing with HIV at the time, and he was gay and dealing with HIV.
And this was like when the early 90s, mid 90s?
Yes, correct. Yeah. Early 90s. Yeah, early to mid. And so, and he just everything that he was going through, and knowing that he was like in a relationship, and how do you do that and navigate it with, having AIDS and, being sick sometimes and things of that nature, and he was an advocate and all of that. So that part to me stood out so much more, and I was completely heartbroken when he passed away, as opposed to Puck and all of his just, idiotic things that he did. But what I'm talking about this time around, because that was my favorite, but Homecoming was on earlier this year, and season 2 Homecoming just came out, and so I haven't watched season 2 yet, but it reminded me of how much I was kind of, it just took me back down memory lane to watch season 1. So for anybody who happened to watch Real World, basically, or even those of you who haven't, but it's basically a story about 7 strangers picked to live in a house who have cameras follow them at all times, and what happens when everyone stops being polite and starts being real. So that was like part of the opening. Right? It was part of the opening. I didn't say it exactly, but it was like what I could kind of remember of it. And so basically, they had these folks 29 years later, almost 30 years later, come back to the same building and go into the loft and actually live together for 6 days, because they're all grown now. They're all like basically in their 50s. Yeah. And so like bringing them all together and just seeing how it all changed. And like literally, as far as I'm aware, The Real World was the first camera following you all the time reality show. Yeah. And they were the first ones who were on the show. So therefore they said, look, we were just told, it wasn't even called Real World. We didn't know what we were showing up for. We were just told that they wanted to have a lot of artists to come and be a part of this show where someone would follow you all day long and in your interactions, and it'll help you to build your brand, basically. So they were like, okay, sure, why not? So you had Heather B in the cast.
Heather B, yeah, she's a radio personality. Right?
Right, with Sway and things like that. Sway in the Morning. She was an up-and-coming rapper at the time, 21 years old, and she actually now even has something called a Happy Hour with Heather B that she does as her own kind of like Instagram and show and things of that nature. So she's still doing great things. You had Eric, who was the kind of quote-unquote hot guy. He was into the parties and the girls and the drinking. So Heather B even said, look, every time you wanted to go have a good time and party, then Eric would be like, look, let's hit these streets of New York. So that's what they would do. Now he's a totally Zen guy. Who's like studied with monks at a monastery or something. And he's just so down to earth. But he was like a MTV VJ at one point and was like hosting shows like TRL and things like that. So it's just kind of interesting to see the difference. Now, mind you, he wasn't able to show back up in the house for the reunion because he had COVID.
Oh, okay.
So he shows up to New York. He's getting ready to do the show, and then when they did his last test, they were like, you got COVID. We're putting you up in a hotel." So he was fine, other than I think he said a couple of days of a fever and him having like a scratchy throat and things of that nature. So he was drinking teas and doing all of that, but he couldn't be around his friends. And then they just put him on the TV so he could be on video and do certain activities with them virtually, so to speak, or at least go down memory lane together. Then you had Eric. No, that was Eric. I'm sorry. Then you had Julie. So Julie's from Alabama, small town, very naive, real sweet. And, you know, her whole storyline was about her just learning, like you just being in the big city and learning about different things and culture and diversity because of the fact that she was like, look, I've just grown up around people like me. And come to find out, you had another character, Kevin. He was woke the entire time. Like, Kevin was like, look, there's racial injustices out here in this world. You can't trust the cop. You can't do this. You can't do that. So he was always talking about the injustices and a black man's plight, basically. Even to the point that Heather B was like, look, I just came at 21 to party. I won't try to talk about all this stuff. But now, looking back on it, I should have been more like you. I should have been more woke. I should have been, more woke. So with Julie and him would have kind of some interesting dynamics and conversations back in the day because of the fact that she was from Alabama, little country, girl who just didn't know anything differently. But funny enough, she even explained now 30 years later almost that, I've done marches, I've done this, I've done that. Like, I've done so many things to kind of like that. But if it wasn't for Kevin saying something, if it wasn't for that whole experience, because also you had Norman in the house, and Norman was the gay guy of the house. So basically he was very friendly, just navigating relationships and being gay and all of that. And back then even AIDS was still prominent back in the early 90s. So just all of those kind of things. And right now he's like a starving artist. So at some point in the show, they're all pitching in to help out and putting him on their social media platforms and selling his art projects and things of that nature because he was too proud to just say that, hey, I'm getting ready to lose my apartment probably by the time I get back, kind of thing. So, and then you had Becky. Well, you had Andre. Let me go to Andre first. Andre was like the filthy-haired musician, long hair, rarely washed it, self-admittedly. He was just, scraggly, long-haired, like guitar musician who now is a father and loves his daughter more than life, is married. He washes his hair now? Washes his hair. It's all gray. And he's just like the cool, like chill, not quite as in as Eric, but, just like the cool guy. And then Becky. Becky was the one who came in, and she even said self-admittedly that she was arrogant and cocky when she came into the house. But basically, long story short, she thinks she's woke. But now, she's not. She's the biggest Karen you have ever seen in your entire life. Oh, God. And it is horrible. Wait. And a train wreck to
Question. Is she a Karen? Oh, is she a woke Karen, or is she just a Karen in general?
She is I think I'm woke Karen, but when you try to talk to me about things, I am going to express my experience, versus listening to you try to express yours. So when Kevin is like, oh, that's great that you participate in an African dance. You know, did you realize the da-da-da-da-da, the dysphoria of Africa, you know, blah, 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 blah. And he's going through oh, yeah, I know all of that. Yeah, and, you know, by the way, you know, one of my best friends is black. And, you know, da-da-da-da-dee, and da-da-da-da-da, and she's like, okay. And he's like, okay, yeah, but, well, guess what I'm trying to say is that,
that's when you just stop talking to those people.
But see, he was trying to help in a way, and they basically said this because everybody in the house was seeing her going down this horrible path of being a Karen. Yeah. And they were kind of like, oh, but if you just listen, like, don't even talk. Yeah, just like listen to what he has to say. Well, I don't know why y'all are all jumping on me. I just don't understand. I am the most woke person, and I this and I that. So she ended up leaving the house. She was just like, I'm out. Like, I can't deal with y'all
pretty sure
coming
that everybody was fine with that.
Everybody felt bad because they're like, number one, when people see this, they're going to know how bad you are. But number two, it's like, this all shouldn't have even happened.
But I don't understand why everybody would feel bad. Like, she showed her true colors.
She did, but but that was the whole thing. It's like
Cyndi
we haven't
Lauper
seen each other
best.
in 30
We see
years.
your true colors shining through.
Yeah, but we haven't seen each other in 30 years. There were some past feelings and aggressions that we wanted to get to the bottom of, and they were only together for 6 days. She couldn't even make it through 6 days, so they were just like, okay,
I would have been like, all right, peace. Deuces. Yeah. Let's never do this again.
Some people did feel that way a little bit, but they said that basically, you know, they covered topics of race relations, LGBTQ things, you know, just being in a house with a camera on you all the time, and it was just a lot to kind of go through. So anyway, that was The Real World Homecoming Season 1. Again, Season 2 just came out
New York.
New York on Paramount Plus. Season 2 just recently came out. I think there are only like 1 or 2 episodes.
What is Season 2? Do you know where Season 2 is at?
I think it's the second season of the show, so I don't recall what the location was. It was probably LA or something like that.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's going to be something like that.
So, anywho, so that is the list for this week, everybody. We really appreciate you taking time to listen in on Sestra-Tainment. I hope everybody has a wonderful rest of their week, and we'll come back same time, same station next Sunday.
See you guys.
Bye.